Dreaming. Space-time badass here. In a previous video I talked about the minimum requirements for lucid dreaming. In that I talked about the 3 fundamental elements of the practice, those being the dream journal, reality checks, and techniques. Reality checks are a staple if you want to learn how to lucid dream, so the sooner you master them, the better. Today we'll learn how to make them work for you by discussing what makes a reality check truly great. In case you've made it this far and you don't know what a reality check is, it is simply a test that you do to let yourself know if you are awake or if you're dreaming. We do these multiple times a day to build the habit so that we might do them in our dreams and become lucid. This all sounds well and fine, but simply doing the mechanical aspect of the reality check doesn't always go as planned. The problem generally occurs when one of the 2 following criteria is met. 1. The dreamer is doing reality checks that aren't effective, or 2. The dreamer doesn't adequately question reality during the check. In number 1, the issue is that the reality check being used has too vague of an outcome, or it isn't well suited to the person using it. By the check having too vague an outcome, I mean that we need to be using a reality check that depend on something reliable, something that we can do again and again in waking life with the same outcome. For instance, plugging your nose with your mouth closed and trying to breathe. In waking life, when you do this, you won't be able to breathe, but in the dream, you will. This has an extra bonus because we are still able to control our breath while in a dream. Another aspect of this is when someone uses a reality check that depends on the dream reality rather than the waking reality. This is something like looking at your hands as a reality check because in the dream they're ordinarily distorted. This check can fail because you're relying on your dream to distort your hands every time. It's just an unnecessary uncertainty. On the flip side, you could look at your hands, count your fingers, look away, and then count your fingers again. This is better because you're still looking at your hands to see if they're distorted. Then when you count and look away, you're forcing your dream to render your hands again. Since dreams aren't so great with object permanence, when you look at your hands and count again, the number will likely be different. This check allows you to have something concrete to base it on. You should always have the same number of fingers. Or you could just be doing a check that isn't best for you personally. Believe it or not, some reality checks don't work for everyone. There are even personal checks that may only work for one person. Lucid dreaming can be very individual, so some experimentation is required. Addressing the second criteria, the biggest problem that people have with reality checks is that they aren't really questioning reality. This can be difficult because it requires you to assume for a moment that you aren't in the real world. This is out of the ordinary because we're conditioned from life on Earth to assume that the world around us is stable and that we can trust what we perceive. We have to rely on our senses to survive, so questioning it just isn't practical. In order to do an adequate check, we have to learn how to feel like we aren't sure where we are when we do the action. The secret to this is the thought process you have when you're doing the reality check. It's important to first tell yourself that you could be dreaming. Look around and note how vivid everything is. Then think about how that can be a product of your own mind. As real and solid as everything is, it could still be a dream. Then tell yourself that you'll do a reality check that will tell you if you're awake or if you're asleep. If you're doing the nose plug check, tell yourself that you're going to try to breathe with your nose plugged, and if you can, you're dreaming. Then perform the check. Afterward, think to yourself about the result. For example, I couldn't breathe with my nose plugged, so right now I am awake. After that, remind yourself that you could be dreaming at any moment. This should be sufficient to give you a feel for how reality checks should be. With some practice, it should be easier to get in the mindset that you could be in a dream no matter where you are. Thank you so much for watching. This being the first video of the month, I'd like to take this time to thank my patrons over on Patreon. The names on the screen are people who are supporting my work, and I'd like to let you all know that I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SpacetimeBadass. If you want to support the channel, you can do so at patreon.com/SpacetimeBadass. Or conversely, you can use my Dreamleaf affiliate link in the description box down below. They sell lucid dreaming supplements and dream journals, and if you use that link, then a portion of your purchase goes to help the channel. But regardless, I appreciate you anyway. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take it easy.